I want to be me, and I want my guests to come on here, and I want them to be real. That's what's relatable. It's about being authentic. The people I have on here, totally authentic. I'm totally authentic. What you see is what you get. Cat tree in the background. Great. This is how it is. Raw, real, relatable. Welcome to the Everyday Epigenetics Raw, Real, Relatable podcast. I'm your host, Susan Robbins, Epigenetic Human Performance Coach. This is where we discuss all things lifestyle, environment, food, exercise, work, mind, and social interaction as they pertain to epigenetic expression in a way that's relatable to everyone. So if you're ready to start viewing you as an individual, take control of your life and health, and get results, buckle up, here we go. Welcome to Everyday Epigenetics Raw, Real, Relatable podcast. I'm your host, Susan Robbins, certified epigenetic human performance coach. Welcome to my very, very, very first episode. And some of you will know me through my coaching business, which is called Healthy Awakening. Others may know me through the coaching work I do with Dr. Amy Horniman, the thyroid fixer. And what I do as an epigenetic human performance coach is I optimize people according to how they are created. I use DNA testing. I use an AI-based platform that looks at how you're formed in the womb, predominant hormones that drive you, 15 layers of science built into there. And I also do epigenetic age testing through True Diagnostics. So today's kickoff episode is really an intro about me, what I do, my story, what brought me here, and why I created this podcast for you guys. So first thing I want to start with is, what the hell is epigenetics? Because when I'm out and people say, what do you do for a living? And I say, I'm an epigenetic human performance coach. I love to either hear the or I get the deer in the headlights look like, okay, maybe I've heard epi something or heard about epigenetics, but have no clue what it is. So simply put, it's how your lifestyle and environment affect how your genes express. Our genes are pure probabilities and propensities. And we have a control up to about 95% of how our DNA actually expresses. And that is with the lifestyle choices we make and the environment with which we surround ourselves. So the life that you're living is either taking you out of your optimal flow, or it's putting you towards, or you're in your optimal flow. And let me tell you, it's a big difference because I spent most of my life out of flow and now I'm in flow. So I'll be talking about that as we go. The reason I developed this podcast is to create awareness around the importance of lifestyle, individuality. People are always comparing, well, I'm probably doing better than someone else. It doesn't matter. It's all about you. You are unique. And I want people to understand that. And it's really around understanding your choices and understanding yourself. So we always look, there's so much information out there. And you see there's group programs and there's people have these programs that it's a one size fits all approach, whether it's fitness, food, mind, all of it. It doesn't matter. The one size fits all approach works for some, but there's a big non-responder rate to where it doesn't work for a lot of the people. And that's not talked about. People are told they're lazy. They're not doing this correctly. And it may just be it's not what their body needs or at the specific time their body needs. So I have a lot of people come to me that are super frustrated listening to going down the podcast rabbit hole. Here we are, right? Online at midnight, looking things up, right? Dr. Google and whatnot. And it really is an information overload. People are super frustrated and just by the time they get to me, a lot of them have tried everything and just say, I don't even know what's right for me anymore because I've tried everything and I'm still not right. Or I think I'm doing everything, but is there a piece to this optimization puzzle I'm missing? Because I'm doing everything the experts say, every supplement, intermittent fasting or fasting, like whatever it is, right? So I'm here to just make things simple and relatable to the everyday person that's looking for some answers as to why this might not be working for me. are there options for me that are specific to me? So I'll be interviewing experts that are going to be talking. It's going to be all about lifestyle. So I'll have experts that are going to come in and talk. And then to make it more relatable to all of you out there, clients, some of the most fantastic people that I am working with or have worked with, they're real people that are going to be able to talk on the difference in being out of flow because they are not living according to how they're created. And it just creates this resistance, and the difference of being in flow and how everything starts to come around. If you're out of flow in just one or two areas in your life, it can throw off everything. You start to question everything. Nothing seems right. And it's just super difficult. So that's the real part of the real and relatable part of my podcast. And then I said raw because anybody that knows me, the F-bomb is going to come out. I don't know when it's going to drop, but I guarantee you it's going to happen at some point. And I just want people to know that, this is who I am. I don't have a whole lot of filter, and I fought that most of my life. It actually is how I'm created, to have very little filter, a little bit now, but I want to be me. And I want my guests to come on here, and I want them to be real. That's what's relatable. It's about being authentic. And so the people I have on here, totally authentic. I'm totally authentic. What you see is what you get. Cat tree in the background, right? This is how it is. Basically, no bullshit. So raw, real, relatable. A lot of podcasts are going to go super deep into the science and the research on things. I get lost in that. I don't want to hear about every podcast that has to do with studies on rats. I want to know about taking action. What are the things that my body needs, my mind needs, my environmental requirements to take action on so that I can start getting optimal? And that's what I want to bring in here. So I'm not a scientist. I am not a practitioner. I don't diagnose, treat, cure. I don't do those super deep dives. I'll have some people on here that will, and that's going to be fantastic. But I'm all about taking action and understanding why. So this podcast is really going to be for the everyday person that wants to learn why they are unique, how living authentically is really a game changer, and why every choice you make out there really, really matters. So I'll have on here experts in areas of wellness, all the areas of lifestyle, relationships. That's going to be a fun one. Might bring a little bit of dating in here because, that's been fun. And bring in some aha moments and epiphanies so that you can take action and know where to go to get you more towards being in your flow naturally. So how did I get here? Again, I'm not a practitioner. I'm not a scientist. I'm an epigenetic human performance coach. And prior to that, I was a police officer. So I am a retired cop turned epigenetic human performance coach. And it really all came about through my own struggles with stress, with my health, where things really got out of control. And I started down the rabbit hole of the why, what's wrong with me, instead of looking at what I do now. What do I need to be optimal? Because once you start going down what's wrong, you tend to find more that's wrong, and try to fix instead of get into a mode of optimal. And a lot of the time we look at one thing, this number on a lab is off. This number is on a lab is off. Or I have this one genetic SNP. Okay. And so a lot of times we go into trying to treat or work with just that one thing, but you can't. The body is a complex system and you have to look at it as such. So you need full labs. You need a full DNA panel, all of these things to look at the person as a whole and the systems, how they all work together. So through my own struggles with self-acceptance, self-image, health issues, that was my complex system that I had to all deal with. So basically, I found out at the age of 54, I was really living for all those years completely opposite as to how I was created. I was an overweight kid, and I had been dieting since the age of 12. 12. Okay. You want to talk about poor self-image. And that came from several different factors. And I also started drinking at the age of 14 after I lost my mother. I was going to bars at the age of 14. And yeah, I was able to get into bars because I was built like a woman by the age of 12. So here we go, right? That starts kind of like the whole catalyst for me. So I was always super, super active, played sports, loved it, always looking to fit in, just always wanted to fit in, and really never felt like I did. I grew up in the era of Twiggy. Okay. Twiggy. I'm 5'1", and here I was all curvy by 12 years old. I didn't fit the norm. Lost my mother at 14. I didn't fit the norm of everybody that had a family, a full family. I had very, very little filter then, just as I do now. So I was always told, Susan, you're too much. You're too intense. You're too loud. It wasn't just because I'm from Jersey, people. And I was all about the fun. I still am. Fun and connection. All those things were hugely important to me. I didn't realize why they were so important to me until I learned about how I was created. But these were things I dealt with all of my life. And again, was just told that a lot of times it's just too much because people didn't understand me and I didn't understand myself. And it continued well into my adult life, just trying to find where I needed to be, where I felt I belonged. And so bounced around different jobs, different careers, decided finally at the age of 36 people to go into the police academy and make a difference. This was after 9/11 happened and I had lost my dearest childhood friends to breast cancer, also at the age of 36. And it crushed me and it changed my life. So I felt like I wanted to make a difference. And so I went into the police academy in 2002. And you want to talk about a stress that I don't know that I've had like that continuous stress. Loved the challenge. And of course, I excelled at the physical fitness. I was top in my class of 38 men and women when we graduated. I had the highest overall fitness score, which now seeing that in my PH360, I'm what's called an activator, made for movement. We're true athletes, competition, driven by adrenaline, testosterone. Now it makes sense, right? But so that was the fun part for me, was the training days. And I was eating a low fat diet because that was what was ingrained into me, that, higher carbs, but watch that fat. Jesus, I had no idea just how much I was further wrecking my body. And I will tell you, through that whole academy, people were dropping massive amounts of weight. I lose 5 pounds. And I was a lot bigger than I am now, but I lost only 5 pounds, but I was fit as hell. But my gut was a wreck. Never putting all of this together with stress and how it affects the gut. By the time I hit the streets, I wanted to do graveyards or the night shift because I'm a night person. This is going to be great. I'm going to stay up all night. I don't like mornings, and had no idea that genetically I am 1000% a morning person, and all this night stuff. Again, I got the diet wrong, right? Now I've got the timing completely wrong. And then when you're working graveyards, you're eating at we were doing breakfast at 3 or 4 in the morning. That's not, find out years later, that is not optimal to the body and starts you on the road to insulin resistance, diabetes down the road. And I ended up packing on the poundage. Always tired, never felt good. Now, did I continue working out and everything? Absolutely. That's been a part of my life and always will be. But my health continued to be a struggle. I just never felt right and just had a really hard time losing this extra weight that I was putting on. When I went to a different department, I ended up going to day shift, but I worked a lot of child crimes. So again, you've got stress. I was about 2.5 years on nights. And here was the stress of the job itself. And then in the department where I ended up, I never fit in there. And they made it very evident to me that I never fit in there. I was for several years the only female officer there, and I did not fit. And now I'm seeing how much connection was important to me and wanting to be a part. It was very, very difficult. And the day I retired, I decided to retire early. I was able to once I hit 50, that I went to take my radio up to the department to turn in the equipment that was part of PD. And I walked in, and as I was walking through the door, and the interesting thing, I had never taken a Jersey girl to a cow branding, tore ligaments in my ankle, right? 2 spots in my ankle doing a cow branding. And it was about 2 months before I was supposed to retire. And we didn't have light duty there. So I was off work. I couldn't work at all. It was in the boot and everything. And ran out of all my vacation time because I used it. Went up to take all my equipment to retire that day. And as I walked through the door, now mind you, I had been gone for about a month, 6 weeks away from all of that. I walked through the front door of the police station, and my heart rate immediately, I could feel it go to my throat, and it went, bop, 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 bop. And it was like this crazy stress reaction. And I had been at that police department for 12 and a half years. And as I walked through, here was my epiphany of, holy shit. How many years did I live like this every fucking day and had no idea that walking through that door, immediate stress that I was putting my body in for 12 and a half years on top of the job itself. And that was just a huge, huge awakening. While I was in the police department with all my health issues, like I said, I had enrolled in health coaching school at Institute for Integrative Nutrition. And I thought this would be a nice thing to do on the side. But when I found out that I could retire, I ended up retiring the day I graduated health coach school. And I thought, I'm just going for it, and I'm going to do this coaching. So I forgot to put that in there, but that played a huge part. So in the meantime, I tried every different type of exercise. And as long as I was moving, I was happy, but it needed to be fun and it needed to be challenging. So 2012, I discovered CrossFit, which was like the best thing ever because it's competitive, right? And I run on adrenaline, testosterone, competitive. And it was short bursts. It wasn't this, let me just go run forever or stick a fork in my eye before you make me do that. And it was intense, and it was community, right? In the CrossFit gyms it's like your CrossFit family. So I felt like I belonged somewhere and my body responded well to it. But again, I was tired and I was getting so much joint pain and muscle pain and just craziness. And keep in mind that I was doing CrossFit after work. So I was doing CrossFit at night. I was doing CrossFit Endurance at 6:30 p.m. Come to find out with the activator, I should be actually coming down because I should be on fire all day. And so here I am taxing my body when it's at the least ready to be taxed and just depleting it more of energy stores I didn't have. And I'd found paleo eating at this time as well, which felt pretty good to me. Found out I was celiac. I mean, this is like all happening at the same time. So my mind was stressed. My body was stressed. It was just a crazy whirlwind of everything happening at the same time. Starting a new career, right? Starting my own business I don't plan. I had no business plan. I just jumped into coaching. This is how I roll, people. So all of this is happening at the same time, which just was creating a bigger crisis with me. And I couldn't figure out, there was just something lingering that wasn't right. So finally, I retired in 2016, started my health coaching business in May of 2016 as well. And I was having tachycardia happening. Earlier than that, like I said, the fatigue, still the weight gain, brain fog. And finally, we figured out in 2017 that I had chronic Lyme disease. I'd gotten it twice. One time was from a hornet sting, had the target and everything. Lyme is anything with a vector, people. It's not just a tick. And it was misdiagnosed as an allergic reaction when I told my allergy guy about it. Everybody says like Lyme doesn't exist in Montana. Yeah, bullshit, because it fucking exists everywhere. So now I had this going on. So worked with a naturopath, and I had so many issues. It took me about a year to go into remission with Lyme. I just struggled because I couldn't detox it. So when you cut to 2019, and here's me like doing so much of this on my own, trying to research everything, go into Facebook groups and figure out what is happening here. And so I moved back to Colorado, where the environment is so much better. Sorry, people, I hated Montana. It sucked my soul out. I didn't fit in there. I needed to come back to Colorado. Moved back here in 2018, and this is home to me. So my place is super important. I need to have that availability for activity. And 2019 went to Paleo FX in Austin, Texas. And that was where I found Epigenetic, who is a DNA group. And this is where my life really started to change. Seeing things that were expressing genetically that had to do with methylation, that had to do with detoxification. All of these reasons why I had so much trouble trying to work with the Lyme disease and work with stress. It just made so much sense to me. Started putting that all into action. But yet it was still off. And then in 2020, that's when I met Dr. Cam McDonald with PH360 at the time. Now it's Precision Health Alliance with the Shea app. And it was my little final piece to my little puzzle, finding out that I was living the life of a diplomat as an activator. So again, I was up late at night. I was up till like sometimes 1 or 2 in the morning, sleeping in late, intermittent fasting. All these things were keeping me tired, sluggish, weight gain, and just suboptimal, even though I was working with my DNA to optimize my methylation and whatnot. And I just put everything together. I said, if I'm going to be optimal with people, this is how I want to coach. So I coach with DNA and I coach with the PH360. I also came across the biological age testing, which tests methylation of DNA. And that's through, again, the company True Diagnostics, the most accurate, unbelievable platform to see how you are aging, with aging being the number one risk in chronic disease and death. And I actually finally found out that I put it all together and it's making a difference, that I'm actually aging at a slower rate than my biological age. Ta-da! Even with all the shit that I dealt with and all my crappy genetics, a little good ones in there, but it's all lifestyle. I stopped drinking in 2019, just quit cold turkey after I saw my DNA. I have an increased risk for Alzheimer's, and alcohol is going to play a part in that. And that's not going to work. So I now have my food dialed in, the timing of my exercise. I don't train at night ever. I am tired at night, as I should be. It just changed my whole life. So I thought about all this, and I've been, the whole not self-esteem thing at this point, but that fear of putting yourself out there for everybody to see you raw and tear you apart for saying something wrong. It kept me quiet, wanting to talk about this stuff for the last 4 or 5 years. And I finally realized, you know what? Nobody's perfect. I might say some things you're going to disagree with. Experts say things I disagree with, right? It doesn't matter. It's getting the information out there. I wanted just people to see real life situations in the applications of lifestyle and how it affects our genetic expression. And I thought, you guys need to hear this. You need to have a safe space to be raw and real and hear other people's stories and learn about your awesome individuality and how to be authentic. And I thought, this is the first time in the last couple years, finally started living my authentic self. I just let people know, hey, I'm super direct. please don't be offended. If you want a wordy text message from me during the day, when I'm busy and in action mode, not going to happen. Give me till a little bit in the evening when I'm coming down. But one of my friends used to kind of worry that all my friends used to worry something was wrong, and nothing was wrong. I'm just in action mode and I don't have time to chit chat. Okay. Be authentic. Be you. The people that accept you for that are going to accept you for that. The people that don't, do they matter? Does it matter? And the biggest thing is that you start to accept you for who you are. We're so worried about what family, friends, religion, all these things bring in that like to create who we've become. And it's not about that. It's about being who you were supposed to be, how you're created. And when you live that authenticity and you learn all of these things that your body and your mind and your soul need to be optimal, when you're in flow, it takes a lot to get you out of flow. And everything around you changes. You may see friendships that you thought were solid. Maybe they don't work anymore. You may see ones that maybe weren't so solid before come back because you're in a different place, right? You might rethink things like job. Your energy levels are high mentally, physically, and you're sleeping better. All of these things come together to create a more optimal you. So that's why I wanted to bring all this to you. That's my story and kind of so I'm like Robin Williams, I start going and I'm all over the place, but hopefully you kept up with it. But again, this is me, right? We are who we are. So embrace you. Buckle up for this podcast. We're going to have some fun. You're going to see all kinds of things happen or be said. And I just want it to be fun and relatable and get you guys some good information so that you can start thinking up here. And there's always an opportunity to come and work with me with my coaching or do the DNA testing, the epigenetic age testing. All of those you can do through me. It'll all be in show notes and everything, how to reach out. And I just say, I went from a cop literally saving some lives to I save lives just in a different way now. And I've literally saved some lives. And it gets me emotional. It's the other thing you might see. This means so much to me, what I do, and why I have such a passion for what I do, because I hear it in the people I work with and I see it, and I've seen it with myself. And so if anything I can bring here helps one of you live an authentic, optimal life, then I've done my job. So hopefully you'll tune in for more and have some great guests that are lined up and ready to go. And I just hope you enjoy it. So go out there, make it a great day, and let your authentic self shine. Thank you. Thanks so much for tuning into my podcast. If you enjoyed this week's episode, I'd love for you to share it with someone who would find the information useful. Also, if you could leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts, it'll help the information get out to others. You can check out my podcast site and sign up for my newsletter for updates and upcoming shows, and that link is in the show notes below. But go make it a great day and let your authentic self shine.